everybody. Welcome to Wild Moments, powered by explore.org. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and I'm very excited to have a look at some clips with you today and discuss all kinds of animal behavior. But for those of you that are watching for the first time, this is a live and interactive show, so you can comment away and ask me any questions. And typically how we start the show is that everybody says hello, they say where they're from, and what drink they've brought this morning. A lot of it's coffee. I'm sure there's some gin and tonics every now and then, but we shall see. We'll see who's joining us today. Oh, goodness gracious. A few of you have already come through. Aussie Jan, hello. You've always have coffee. I feel like I can now know everybody's drink order. Dear NC, you said good morning from Seattle, and you're also ready with your coffee. Hello, Amber. Happy Thursday. Coffee and a chocolate muffin. Ooh, talk about changing things up. And then Glenda, you've said hello from Indiana with my diet Mountain Dew. I should probably also be drinking that. I'm not drinking any sugary drinks at the moment, just water and smoothies. How fun is my life? Of course, I'm just teasing. We'll just give it another minute or so and see if anybody else joins in before we get started. So, I know you've all been watching the live cameras. If you've seen anything interesting, let me word that correctly, let me know. I unfortunately don't. I wish I had more time to sit and watch the cameras at night, but by the time my day is done at 7:30, I'm normally in bed. Brigid, you've said, hi, Taylor. Hi. Nice to see you. I think you're all in for a treat, by the way, because there's some really interesting clips that we're going to have a look at. Zygote, another familiar name. Hi, Taylor McCurdy. It always makes me laugh when people say my full name, because not very many people call me Taylor McCurdy. Some people call me Taylor Jane, only recently. Otherwise, I get called T, Tay, T-Bomb, Stray Bay, pretty much anything that starts with a T. Karu, nice to have you again. And Miss Parker, you've said, hey, Taylor, and hello to everybody else. Trainer Matt, what are you training? Dogs, cats, people in the gyms? I'd like to know. You've said hello to everybody from North Carolina, and you've got an iced coffee. Oh, that does sound tasty. Jan, you've mentioned that it's still very hot in Arizona, so you're also consuming a lot of water. Brigid, you've got some apple juice. We all know what that's code for. I might be having one of those once we finish. Anyways, I think it's time to jump into the first clip. And it's quite an interesting one because it's an animal that we don't get to see very often. Look at that. Wow. So this is an aardvark. One of the hardest animals to find in the bush. They're notoriously shy. And the fact that it is having a drink is also quite special. And that's because aardvark don't normally drink water. They get most of their moisture from termites and ants. Wow. Oh, I'm having a good old scratch. They've got long enough claws to be able to have a decent scratch, and off it goes again. Isn't that amazing? I believe that it's the first aardvark that's been seen. So cool. I haven't seen an aardvark in years. It's been a very long time. I think the last one that I saw was when I was working in the Southern Sabi Sands, which is probably like 2015, 2016. So many years ago. There's a couple more hellos and then we'll discuss the pangolin. Tris, you said hello. Kimhee, hello to you too. and Geert NL. Oh, we actually have a question from Kimmy. You've asked, what is related to an aardvark? Nothing. They're actually in their own order. A very long time ago, they thought aardvark were in the old world, I suppose, old world pangolins. But obviously through DNA testing, they have figured out that there is no resemblance in DNA whatsoever. So they've been put in their own order, and they are the only animal in that, which is really cool. Yeah, so to see an aardvark is so special. And like I said, them drinking water is so unusual. I'm very spoiled. I have had some great aardvark sightings when I was down in the Eastern Cape in South Africa. We used to see them quite regularly, and there was even one individual that it was a youngster, so he was coming out during the middle of the day, which is not unusual for sub-adults, and would feed. And because their eyesight is so poor, we just had to make sure we were downwind of him, and we could just sneak and sit down and watch him. Didn't like the sound of vehicles, so we'd have to go on foot, but we kept a respectful distance from him so that he carried on with his day. Zygote, you've also mentioned that you love hearing the fiery neck nightjar in the background. That's one of the most iconic Africa bird calls, especially at nighttime. We're still hearing them a lot now. Actually, there were plenty of them calling last night. So, and then here we go. Tim, you've said, what would hunt an aardvark? And how do they protect themselves? Goodness. So like I said, I've never seen anything eating an aardvark. However, I have seen lots of video footage of lions catching aardvark. And in fact, where I used to work in the Eastern Cape, they regularly have sightings of lions catching aardvark. It's a really good area for aardwolf, caracal, and what is the other one? No, aardvark. Anyways, I can't think. My brain is not here today. In terms of protecting themselves, though, it's a bit tricky. They don't have the, sort of armored scales like a pangolin does. They can't curl up into a ball. So they really don't have much defense at all. They have got really long claws, though. And that's used for digging down into termite mounds. They predominantly eat termites, but normally in the winter months, they'll feast on ants. And maybe they'll use those claws to kind of like swipe at them, but I don't know. I have no idea. And I think if lions are catching them fairly regularly, I mean, obviously they're the apex predators of the cat species, but well, at least in Africa, quite tricky. Maybe if they would run quick enough and disappear down into one of their burrows, which can extend up to over 10 meters underground, which is pretty crazy, then definitely nothing is going to be able to get it. So really special to see that. I couldn't see if it was a male or a female. It was a bit tricky, but it would be nice if potentially it has, it's sort of going to be a regular visitor. So hopefully we'll get a few more of these sightings. Look at it go. And I wonder how they drink water, because they're obviously not sticking its tongue out. It doesn't look like it. I wonder if it's just sucking it through its mouth. But pangolins drink water a different way. They actually lap it up. So they use their long tongues. It's actually quite interesting to see, but that didn't look like what the pangolin was doing. There's a nice scratch, itchy. And because they live in burrows and they will use the same burrow for quite some time, there's a big buildup of parasites, so that could be bothering it. Very interesting. Wow, that was awesome. I'm really happy that we got to see a pangolin. And then Kauru, you've asked, are aardvark nocturnal, or did this one just wake up for a drink? They are nocturnal. They're very shy. So they spend most of their days in burrows sleeping. And then normally just as the sun sets, that crepuscular period, they'll come out and start their sort of day. But like I said, I've seen that young male pangolin, not pangolin, aardvark, why am I saying that? And he was out during the day. I suppose he just felt a bit more comfortable. Maybe there's too much competition at nighttime. And their eyesight's really terrible. Their sense of smell and hearing is much better. I keep saying pangolin, but you guys know what I mean. Kathy, you said that you have seen aardvark at Campus Dam. That's cool. That's really awesome. Wow. Definitely must keep an eye out for that. although I tend to only see the flamingos during the day. Okay, wonderful to see the pangolin. We could go on and on and on for ages, but we have another interesting interaction between a brown hyena and a jackal. Look how the brown hyena has got its hair raised. And there's the jackal. The brown hyena, unfortunately, has an unwanted visitor trailing it. This is quite normal. Jackals are quite sly and will often follow predators around. I'm just trying to see. It looks... So the side-striped jackal doesn't look like a blackback. Doesn't seem to be that dark marking. Hey, get out of here. That was bound to happen. Right, isn't that hilarious? So, I mean, immediately you could see with that brown hyena, it's like I said, its hair was all raised up. Not that the jackal is particularly a threat or anything along those lines, but I suppose it's just frustrating and quite annoyed to have a jackal constantly following you. So yeah, and then chased it off. Again, we've been, these cameras, I can't get over them. We're just seeing so many interactions of animals that we never get to see. And I can only imagine how much we're going to learn about this wildlife. And because like we were talking about the aardvark, they're so shy when they hear vehicles, they just disappear. So this is the perfect opportunity. And I hope that there are researchers who are specializing in these animals are watching too, or able to get hold of some of this footage. We need to update the books for sure. But that was quite cool to see. I think that jackal wasn't going to stick around. Although I say this, and they're quite cheeky, and maybe they would have come back again. But sorry, I'm just checking for some questions. Oh, let's see. Sorry, I'm just going up here. Kauru, you've said that aardvark look like they are calm animals. Do they get along with other animals? I can't say that I've ever seen them interacting with another animal. Well, we clearly know that lions and aardvark don't get along, unfortunately, for the aardvark. Maybe around a waterhole, potentially, but I don't think they go out of their way to search for other animals to interact with. They're also solitary, so they only come together for mating purposes, and then they kind of go their separate ways. Kimmy, just going back to the jackal, you said, I can never tell the difference between a blackback jackal and a side-striped jackal during the night. It's tricky, especially because of the infrared light. But with a blackback jackal, it's obviously got a dark saddle on its back. And then you can see, that marking is so prominent. And I also find that their face is a lot more narrow, their nose is pointier, whereas a side-striped jackal seems to be like a bit more stocky, and then obviously much lighter coloration. It was hard to see there. I think it might have been a side stripe, but don't quote me on it. Right, let's see what we have next. Okay, right. This should be quite cool. We're going to go to Oldonyo and have a look at a lion and an elephant. How that elephant is not impressed. See how it has his ears raised? Not raised, but out to the side. Doesn't seem to be too perturbed. I mean, a male lion to a rather large bull is no threat. Elephant's still hesitant. There we go, stepping forward, making itself look much bigger. There we go. Just a swish of the trunk, reminding that lion that he is not the king of the savannah. And look at the big belly on the lion. Obviously had a meal, and now coming up to quench his thirst will also help with digestion. At this waterhole, I think the predators, all the animals that we've seen, constantly encounter a different species. So they're a lot more tolerant of one another. You can just see the elephants just giving him the side eye, and every now and then sort of moving towards him. But nothing serious. I mean, if that elephant wanted to, it could really do some damage to that lion. But like I said, that lion is not a threat. And the lion actually doesn't really care at all. You're going to maybe go drink on the other side, or are you finished? I'd probably do that, yes. Oh, now the elephant's going in the water. I think it's a game now. That's an amazing shot. Look at that. Wow. That was such a crazy picture right at the end with the lion sitting down and the elephant facing it. Not something that I can say I've ever seen before. If that was a breeding herd of elephants, I think that would be a completely different sighting, and there would be some panic amongst the elephants and probably would have chased that lion away for good. JJ, you've mentioned that the lions at Aldonia always seem so thirsty. They drink for ages. So remember, lions don't have to actually drink every single day because, just like the aardvark, they get a lot of the moisture from their food. However, once they have a really big meal, and it is very hot in Aldonia, it's best to go and have a big drink of water. So that would have been the case there. Maybe he just hasn't drank for a while, and needs to. Grumpy old man, you said happy belated birthday. Thank you. When was my birthday? It was was it last week? It was last week. But thank you very much. And Kaoru, it's only a pleasure for answering your questions. That's why I'm here. Lisa White, you watched this the other day and you got screenshots and you love watching Aldonia and the interactions between the animals. It's most fascinating to watch these interactions. It's something that I've never seen in my entire life, firstly because I've also not been to Namibia, and it's very few places where you would see something like this. Miss Parker, you also thought that this was a cool sighting, and cool is a great way to describe it. I kind of wish I was sitting there in that hide. Imagine being there for that entire experience. You'd have to be very quiet. I'd probably have to put duct tape across my mouth because I can't help myself for the most part. Wonderful. Okie dokie. Now, let's go across to, we're going to have a bit of fun now. We're going to watch some baboons playing under the Shalati Bridge in Kruger. Look at them running around. You can also see all their tracks in the sand. It's almost like it's a game of tag, you're it. They don't look like particularly old or adult baboons. I think these must be slightly younger. Just looking at also their body size. And the fact that they're chasing one another suggests, younger individuals that are just excited, wanting to burn some energy. Round and round they go. No ways. They're going to be dizzy. Oh, we've got a third one joining in. Off they go again. That's hysterical. They must be exhausted after that. If you've ever gone running in thick sand before, you know how it's not particularly fun. But the baboons will frequent that bridge. It's obviously, actually, every time you go into the Kruger and you cross any of the bridges over the rivers, quite often there's baboons just sort of sitting there gazing out, enjoying the view. And I haven't seen them roosting on those bridges, but typically along those big river lines, there are big trees like jackalberries and jackalberries. What's wrong with me? Why can't I think of the other trees? Anyways, fig trees, all sorts of things that they would roost in. But it's a nice place to warm up, sitting up on the bridge. But I don't know what time of the day that was. Right, let's see if we've got any questions. Oh, we do. Tim, you asked if I actually would think that they'd climb up on the bridge. Absolutely. 100% they'll be up there. And then Kimmy, how often do baboons bother guests in lodges? This really depends on the lodge. So baboons can become a nuisance, and I say a nuisance, but they're a nuisance to people. because we humans are messy. We leave things lying around. And when you're intelligent, like a baboon, why would you not want to go and steal food? Why would you bother going to forage all day long when you can basically have it served to you on a platter? So it's really tricky. It's something I actually always talk about. When I was up in Makuleki, which is right on the border of Mozambique and Zimbabwe, but still in South Africa, part of a private concession just north of Pafuri and Kruger, there was this troop of baboons around a camp. And because they never had access to food or scraps or anything like that, they basically lived between the students and everybody else that was there. You could leave your doors open. They would leave the kitchen open. At lunchtime and breakfast, it's all sort of open air dining rooms. They would not come and bother us. Vervet monkeys, on the other hand, were a nightmare. And that is the first troop of baboons that I've ever experienced that with. And it was just such a positive relationship. Sometimes what I do in the afternoons when they were coming back from foraging, they used to roost up in the mashatu or nyala trees around camp. And they would obviously just forage before they went up into the trees. And you could sit on the ground and just watch them, and they'd all move past, youngsters and everything. Sorry, that is Kambur, Ali's puppy. Kambur, no. I don't know what he's doing. He's digging for something. Now he's choking. He'll be fine. So then they can be a pain, unfortunately. But vervet monkeys, oh my goodness, they can just be as bad. Karu said, ring around the rosy. Grumpy old man, round and round the mulberry bush. They would devour every single berry if they could have the opportunity to get hold of a mulberry bush. Also, when last did you have a mulberry fruit? I must have been a child. I loved those trees because I would use the leaves to feed my silkworms. And to be fair, actually, when I turned 21, I got silkworms as a birthday gift, and I was so happy. I would still be happy right now. Well, thank you, baboons. It was quite entertaining watching them run round and round. But we've got another interesting animal at Oldonyo, one that we don't get to see very often. A serval and an elephant with one of the tuskers. This camera is just the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, wow, look how close we're able to view it. Look at those powerful hindquarters. You can see the chest is not particularly well developed. The black markings underneath the eyes. Oh, look at the stunning streaks. Constantly looking around. Got to be aware. And they're big. Serval are not as small as you think they would be. Okay, these are great. I hope you're all getting screenshots of this. This is magnificent. Seems like the serval's maybe waiting its turn. I can only also, there must be a lot of rodents that roam around here with all the crevices, and then obviously the structures of the hide with all those logs. Would be a great place. But they've got those very powerful legs because they're experts at catching birds. Oh, just sitting out in the open. Unheard of. And the shortened tail too. Not a long tail like a domestic cat. I think that's a wise decision, moving away from the elephants. Wow, very interesting to see. Have any of you ever seen a serval in real life? I've been also lucky. I've been able to see so many. Gigi, you're wondering are they called a serval or a serval cat? You're quite right. I've also heard people talking about a serval cat. I just really refer to them as servals, to be quite honest. I don't think you're necessarily incorrect if you say either or. I think you'll be fine. The best place if you want to see servals, though, honestly, is if you go to the Masai Mara or anywhere I feel like now I can say also in Aldonyo, but in the Mara, you see them quite regularly, and early in the mornings is great. I had a sighting of one walking straight through the grass. We just saw its ears, and then we watched it, and it walked straight towards a car and popped out on the road in front of us. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Very nice. Very, very nice. We've seen some really interesting animals. Okay, we've got one last clip that we're going to have a watch. We're going to have a look at, and it's one from the Sabi Sand. Hello, elephant. So this is at Nkoro in the northern Sabi Sand. All those insects flying around the camera too. What are you doing, elephant? Clearly having a drink. Oh, there's some more elephants in the darkness. You can also see quite nicely that tapetum flash, which is the eye shine that you see on some animals. Rhinos don't have the what's it? Membrane? What's wrong with me? I can't remember anything. How strange. Is it the tapetum lucidum? I can't remember. Anyways, quite an interesting interaction. That obviously with the cameras being around, there are many different animals that investigate around. Look at it. What's that? Smelling it? Not so keen. I wonder how it also reacts when the camera moves, because that could be quite jarring to see. And then with people constantly working on these cameras, I think the human scent is covering it, which obviously they would maybe be a little bit nervous by, and and um, and kind of move off. But we see baboons quite often coming up to the cameras and like holding them and getting a closer look, which is always entertaining to see. Gosh, I've been so lucky. We always have elephants in all of these clips, and yeah, it's just amazing how they just socialize with so many different animals. Not always a positive interaction though. Going back to Kauru, you've said you'd love to see a serval in person. Well, you're going to have to come on a safari to be able to do that. And then Callie, you've asked a brown hyena actually hunt. So they scavenge a lot. It's not to say that they are unable to hunt. I'm sure that they will catch prey when they absolutely have to. They're just solitary though. They don't live in big clans like you see with spotted hyenas. But yeah, from predominantly are scavengers. Seen brown hyenas eating ostrich eggs, which they absolutely love. Ms. Parker, you've said that you can watch the elephants all day. They're always doing something. You're quite right. It's never, ever boring. And then just, of course, being, if you're in person, I think even with the cameras, you still get this feeling. Just being in their presence is so soothing and so calm. And I've quite often said that elephant therapy is wonderful. And if you're having a really stressful day or going through some things, a herd of elephants, or even just an interaction with a bull, and one of those up close, intimate interactions. Obviously, if it's safe, there's no therapist that can make you feel the way that elephants do. It feels like a weight has completely been lifted off your shoulders. Kimi, you've said, have I been to Nkoro? I have. I actually have. So I spent a lot of time in the northern Sabi Sand. And then some of my friends, of course, worked at Nkoro, so we'd go visit there regularly. And the view from the deck is actually really pretty. So I visited most of the camps in the northern Sabi Sand, and then quite a few others as well in different areas. But if you get the chance to go, and the most affordable lodges are up in the northern Sabi Sand, because we all know how expensive safaris are. Otherwise, if you can't, then this is the next best thing, is sitting here and seeing wildlife that we never get to see, like the aardvark, like the serval, even the brown hyena. Really special. But thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today as much as I did, and I shall see you soon. Toodaloo for now.